Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living of Boise and the Treasure Valley. Walking down the road of life, seeing what I see. There's so much that seems to me to be contradictory. Everybody's asking, what does it mean? While they're chasing after that all-elusive dream. There's people shouting everywhere, the sky is falling in. They're fussing and they're fuming like they think they gotta win. Now I don't think the answer's about getting a piece of what someone else owns. It's all about getting a grip on what we've always known. We've got a piece of our own. We're like kids on the playground, fighting for our turn. It makes you kinda wonder just when we're gonna learn. If life is like a puzzle, the pieces fit where they all do. And those puzzles just keep getting bigger if we're living in our truth. That one man getting stronger doesn't make another weak. The only power we lose is the kind we give away. No one takes it, no one breaks it. We all have a limitless share. We all have it all if we will only care to find a piece of our own. Yeah, peace ain't a prize that you're winning for being the best at all that you do. No, no, peace is a gift that you give and you get if you'll just step into being you. Thinking that there's not enough, it's kind of silly when you think. That's like floating on a river, wondering what we're gonna drink. When did we start thinking what you have means less for me? When did we get greedy and forget how to truly see that life is not the kind of game that has a zero sum, like we're fighting for that same last piece of cake? There is no end to happiness, love, or joy, or gratitude. We have it all if we will only take a piece of our own. We're receiving what we're believing, that lovely piece of our own. Peace every morning, peace every evening, sharing and caring for that piece of our own. We have got a piece of our own.
Thank you, Sandra Cavanaugh. My name is Deborah Whitman, and I am the practitioner of the day. It's time to just relax in our seats. I saw some of you uncrossing legs, which is a good thing to do, to allow that energy of life to flow freely through you. And we're just going to take about a minute or so, take a couple of deep breaths, relax, and get ready for spiritual practices. So let's just breathe in deeply and release. And do it 2 more times, and then I'll be quiet for a minute. It is my honor to introduce Joe Hughes, who will light the world religions candles from the Christ candle. In religious science, we perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from one great universal presence, which we call spirit. In lighting these candles, we honor the one family of humanity made up of over 4,000 religions and spiritual traditions throughout the world. We light the first candle for Native American religions. From the Sioux prayer, we learn to interact with all creation and to walk the sacred path. We light the second candle for Hinduism. Here we learn we need to show compassion to all living beings. Compassion is the root of all religious faiths. We light the third candle in honor of Shintoism, a native religion of the Japanese, which shares the Oriental respect for their cultural inheritance. We light the fourth candle for Buddhism. Buddha said, "Whoever by a good deed covers the evil done, such a one illuminates this world like the moon freed from clouds." The fifth and final candle honors New Thought. New Thought honors the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And now let us quiet our minds and open our hearts to the message being sung by Sandra Cavanaugh.
If the poet's dream is never heard, how many angel tears are shed for the wonders left unsaid. And if the music stays in might have been, how many angels feel the ache of the promise as it breaks. How can we treat the dreams we hold as litter on the path to growing old? And silent can't watch them turn to dust, 'cause we're afraid that we just aren't enough. If we reach past all that we've been told to find the truth we've always known, each of us hold our own key to all that's meant to be. Whisper your dreams out into the world. Just trust and believe and let your flag unfurl. Whisper your dreams, let the wind carry them high. Step into possibility, that your dreams are seeds of meant to be, and all that is and was and will ever be was once only the whisper of a dream. Our passion is a promise so profound. It's the foundation on which all our futures stand. There is power deep within the smallest sound, and the tallest tower is only splinters that are stacked on grains of sand. Whisper your dreams out into the world. Just trust and believe and let your flag unfurl. Whisper your dreams, let the winds carry them high. Step into possibility, that your dreams are seeds of meant to be, and all that is and was and will ever be was once only the whisper of a dream. Whisper your dreams. Whisper your dreams. You are the whisper of a dream.
Please join me in a blessing. As I recognize the one presence and the one power, this divine intelligence that woke each of us up this morning, as it is everything seen and unseen, it is this joyful presence that is here right now in this room, sitting in each of these chairs. We are all one with this presence. And so it is from this place of knowing that I bless this service today. I say thank you to all of the hearts and hands that have come together to bring this service into fruition. And I say thank you to all of our musicians, our beautiful musicians, their voices, their music that they allow to come through them, knowing that it is all divine inspiration. And I say a special prayer for Reverend Jackie as she steps aside and allows Spirit to come through her and to deliver the message that we are all here to hear today. So from this beautiful place, I simply release it and I let go. And together we say, Ashe, Amen, and so it is. And let's welcome Sandra Cavanaugh.
I'm just standing here looking around, and I can't really wrap my head around what I've found. I've been climbing this mountain for so long, forgot what I was climbing for, but I can't imagine finding anything more. It's so funny how we think that the right and the wrong of the journey we're on and just how it should go. When the truth is whatever is exactly as it should be. 'Cause the journey, not the end, is our destiny. Only question that heaven has to ask us, do we know that we're already there? What we find at the summit of the dream that we seek is the vision of who we already are. Heaven knows if the doors all seem closed, there are windows flying open everywhere. And heaven sees only opportunities, 'cause that's all that was ever really there. Yeah, it's so perfect, whatever it may be. The struggles we face, the choices we make can be bittersweet. It doesn't have to be good to be perfect. We just have to be willing to see that it's all part of a grand synchronicity. All we really need to do is to have faith that the universe has answers to spare. What we find at the summit of the dream that we seek is the vision of who we already are. Heaven knows if the doors all seem closed, there are windows flying open everywhere. And heaven sees only opportunities, 'cause that's all that was ever really there. And heaven knows if those doors are all closed, there are windows wide open everywhere. And heaven sees only opportunities, 'cause that's all that is ever really there.
There are windows open everywhere. Good morning, and welcome to all of you who are here in the sanctuary with us and all of you who are joining us online. It is an honor, a privilege, and a delight to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living here in beautiful Boise, Idaho. How is everybody, huh? Yeah? All right. So yesterday I had a wonderful opportunity to have lunch with some girlfriends that I hadn't seen in a while. Some I see more often than others. And you know what it's like when women get together who haven't seen each other in a long time. Well, besides that, there's also this idea, as I was sitting there, as everyone was sharing about what's going on with their lives, I was thinking to myself, I found myself thinking to myself, gosh, their lives are so perfect, and mine's not. And for a few moments, I sat there as I listened to all of the wonderful things that they were saying about their life, and I felt almost like an outsider. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anybody else ever feel that way when you're with your friends? And then we began to talk from our hearts. When you haven't seen each other in a long time, everything's great, everything's wonderful, everything's perfect. And then as women will, especially spiritual women will, we all begin to speak from our heart and talk about the things that were perfectly imperfect for us. Or should I say imperfectly perfect? I don't know, whichever one works for you. And so then I was heartened by that conversation because I realized that all of us are, and let's capitalize both those little IFs, let's capitalize them. If we're living our life authentically, then we will have to acknowledge that our lives are imperfectly perfect. That the imperfections that are in our lives are there for us, for absolute perfect and divine reasons for growth and for joy and even more. The imperfect parts of our lives are there to open our hearts, our spirits, and our souls to contact each other. Yes, we all love talking to somebody whose life is perfect, don't we? We all love talking to that person who's speaking to us through their rose-colored lenses and absolutely nothing is ever wrong in their lives. But after a while, it's tiring, isn't it? What we want is humanness. What we want is reality. What we want is authenticity. Authenticity. Brene Brown, whose works we are exploring a little bit this week, although every week we get off on something else. But we're supposed to be doing Dr. Brene Brown's work. But she says this about authenticity. She says, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Authenticity is the daily practice, not just once in a while, not once a year in Pride Month, but it is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. I love that. The daily practice of saying, I know this is what the world wants me to be, but guess what? This is who I am, warts and all. I don't have any warts, but you know what I'm trying to say. But I did have warts when I was a teenager. Seriously, I did. And I remember being embarrassed and ashamed going to school with that. And then my mother, who was a nurse, kept saying, it's just a virus, Jackie. You probably caught it from one of those little hooligans at church. Well, maybe she didn't use that word. Maybe that's mine in recollection. But the reality is, all of a sudden, when someone shared their warts with me, it became okay. Isn't it great to be able to embrace the fact that we're imperfect? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? And actually, isn't it a relief to be able to say, I don't know. I'm imperfect. I don't know. I'm imperfect. I don't know. So many of us have been taught our entire lives that we have to be perfect in order for somebody to love us. We have to be perfect to be lovable. If I could just be the good little girl. When I was growing up with 5 sisters, you can't help but have a little bit of comparison, particularly as many of you know, all of my sisters are beautiful women. But I would just say that, truthfully, it was hard growing up a tomboy with eyebrows that grew across her entire face and buck teeth to grow up with 2 beauty queens. You're constantly comparing yourself. And I used to think if I could just be more like Frida, if I could just be more like Karen, if I could be more like Greta, maybe I would be lovable. And so I tried. And it was the biggest disaster of an experiment I've ever made in my life. Because my sisters are all very proper Southern women. And all that means, all the beautiful things that means. And I was always that tomboy. And it's like, oh no. Don't even try. And so when I finally had to get to the place in my life where I was taught, where I had to accept that I am never going to be like them, then what is the best me that I can be? And for over 50 years I've been working on that. Because it starts young, but it takes a lifetime to recognize that no one is perfect. And what makes unconditional love so amazing is that we can love each other in our imperfections. Because that's what unconditional love is. Because it would be real easy to love everybody if they were perfect, wouldn't it be? But it's loving the imperfect in all of us that makes unconditional love the most valuable resource on planet Earth. And yet, if we don't acknowledge our own imperfections, how then can we receive unconditional love as it's bestowed and showered on us? Unconditional love. Unconditional love. We get to practice loving one another exactly where we are, who we are, what we are, and how we are. And I think there is no better time ever to talk about this than during Pride Month. And as many of you know, in Idaho, because we lost our spot to celebrate Pride Month in June because of the pandemic, we'll be celebrating Pride in September. But we also acknowledge from this church the entire LGBT community as they stand up in its authenticity and say, here we are, imperfection and all. And we have an opportunity to love unconditionally. And this is true of our spiritual lives too. Many times we think we have to leave our imperfections at home and just bring the perfect part of us to church. If you guys could have seen me this morning. I remember the first time that I stayed over in a minister's house. Well, I was in practitioner training, and the first time that I ever spent the night over in a minister's house, the choir was singing up in San Jose or somewhere, and we were housed in different houses with people, and I got to stay in the minister's house. She was a female. I'm not going to say her name, but I will just never forget watching her get ready for church and thinking, well, how unspiritual is this that you're ironing your shirt? Really? Is that what you should be doing to get ready for church? Shouldn't you be as if the shirt is going to magically get the wrinkles out by itself? So if you could have seen me this morning, because last night I had decided what I was going to wear today, and this morning I got up thinking, oh, I've got all the time in the world, because believe it or not, the biggest decision that I have to make on Sunday mornings is what to put on. I mean, seriously, it is always a battle for me, because I forget what I wear the week before, but nevertheless. So this morning I got up and I could not find a part of that outfit. And I just knew it should be right where I thought it was going to be, and it was not. And after 20 minutes of fruitless looking, I decided maybe you need to change your mind, Jackie, because you need to go do some meditation and calm down from this before you go talk about imperfection. As I looked around my imperfect home that had somehow eaten my shirt, I can't understand where it went. But nevertheless, then I decided I would wear this outfit, and so I finally got it on, and then I needed to go check the fence to make sure my dog couldn't get out while I was at church, and I was worried about, it being open. And so I took my shoes off to put my garden shoes on so I could walk across the mud that is my lawn, because there's no grass there yet. And what happened was I picked the shoes up and water went all over me. Of course, I forgot it had rained and that the shoes would be filled with water. But nevertheless, I thought, what a perfect way to talk about imperfection. Don't look too close for the spot. We think we've got to leave our imperfect self and come to church and show this rose-colored glasses, this perfect pink person that we are, this absolutely perfect human being who's coming to church to show the world that as religious scientists we're all perfect. And I've got news for you. What? I've got news for you. We are not. And it is the imperfect person walking through the door who is willing to say, here I am, flaws, warts, instability, and all, that we are called to love as a community. We are called on to love each other in our good times and in the times where we are challenged. We are called on to love that person who thinks differently than us, but is coming to this church to find a way to work through how they don't know how to be. We're called on as people to love one another through our imperfections. And so let me tell you something. If you think anybody in this church thinks you're perfect, well, except perhaps for Sandra Cavanaugh, maybe she's perfect. But the point I'm making is you're mistaken. We don't think you're perfect. We hope you're not perfect. We hope you're part of our tribe, the imperfect people who are opening their souls, their spirits, their hearts, their minds, and their love to being what Spirit wants us to be. What universal intelligence, divine mind, the world that created us out of itself, that's what we bring to church every Sunday. We bring that here so that we can be in our tribe that supports us as we are growing and changing and being. The reality is that we can bring all of ourselves, our entire soul, spirit, body, humanity, and imperfections, and that's how we come together in a community for the glory, can I say it, from my Southern background, for the glory of God. That's why we come, so that we can reveal the Spirit, the glory, the perfection of God, divine intelligence, infinite Spirit, whatever works for you, that is within us, in all of our imperfections. Dr. Brené's book, Celebrating Your Imperfections, or whatever it's called, something about their imperfections, I don't know. The Gifts of Imperfection, I'm sorry, yes. And Daring Greatly. And it's one of her first books, and it's one of my favorite books, although her newest book, The Atlas of the Heart, you want to get that. We're going to use that as our first book club this summer. But anyway, it's about living a full, open-hearted life that draws from a place of worthiness and unconditional acceptance of our own and others' authentic self. When our hearts are open, we find beauty in imperfection. When our spirits are alive and happy and filled with joy, we can look at what the world calls imperfection and we can find beauty in it. When our hearts are open, we can find the best about ourselves and about other people, because that's what makes us unique. That's what makes us lovable people, our imperfections. I'm really not so wild about loving a perfect person. And the reason that I'm not so wild about it is because I keep waiting for it to crack wide open. Show me your heart. Show me your fears. Show me your prejudice. That racist part of yourself that exists, whether we want to believe it or not. Because only when we uncover the imperfection can we begin to heal it. Only when we recognize it and speak its name can we begin to change. But when our hearts are not open, when we're closed and we're trying to be something that we are not, nothing can change. So I'm going to ask you, where in your life today are you living from a wide open heart? Where in your life? Where do you go? Who do you see? What do you do that opens your heart wide open? And how do you feel when you are embracing life from a wide open heart? But I ask you also to look at those places in your life where you approach it with a closed heart, with a very closed heart. Where are you just bringing a small piece of yourself to life? That's what I'm talking about with the closed heart. It can be challenging to live an open-hearted life because it means we have to be vulnerable. And most of us in this world cannot deal with being vulnerable, including myself. Most of us think it's safer to live a half-hearted life, a closed life, so that we won't get hurt or disappointed. Any of you in this room that have been through a breakup of a relationship know that the next relationship after that breakup is the tough one, because you're afraid of being hurt or disappointed. It's safer. But the real magic in our life happens when we invest our whole heart, our whole soul, our whole spirit into everything that we do, work, relationships, family, every moment of our life. Am I living from an open-hearted place, or am I just giving a small part of myself? I read a quote last night as I was thinking about this talk, that it almost made me want to get on my knees. I want to share it. I do not know who Louise Erdrich is. Louise Erdrich from the Painted Drum LP. And this is Louise's quote. Life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that, and living alone won't either, for solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It's the reason you are here on earth. You are here to risk your heart. And when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt or death brushes near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Sit there and tell yourself you tasted as many as you could. When life hurts you, sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples fall and tell yourself that you tasted as many as you could. You tasted as much of life as you could. You gave an open heart as much as you could. Because when you invest your whole heart into something, your soul expands. You know, our soul is a little bit like elasticity. It has the ability to expand beyond our wildest dreams. But our souls also, like elastic, can contract when we don't open our hearts. They can become like a little tiny energy ball. So I think it's important to ask yourself in every situation, am I expanding with an open heart, or am I contracting with a closed heart? Am I coming with all of me as much as I have the courage to give of my authenticity, or am I withholding because I'm afraid? Because you see, God created you in her image and likeness, his image and likeness for you guys in here, and nowhere did the divine say, I want you to hide who I am through you. Nowhere did the divine ever say, at no time did the divine ever say in your creation, I want you to be small. I want you to just bring a tiny part of your heart to this. Oh no. Your soul expands when you open your heart. When you move into fear, your soul contracts. But most of us aren't even aware of how we contract our hearts. We're not even aware because we have gotten so used to living a small life that it has begun to feel normal to us. You know, the word heaven actually comes from a Greek word which means expansion. Expansion. So when we talk about heaven on earth right now, we are talking about expanding our lives, opening our hearts, opening our consciousness, our faith, our capacity to love, who we are, our gratitude, our appreciation for all that the divine has given to us. In religious science, we teach, one of our core concepts is that we seek wisdom from within. We seek wisdom from within. We teach that wisdom comes from a deep place, the source, the mind of God, the inner spirit of life itself, and that all of us have access to this. All of us have access to the source within. In this faith, we invite people always, we say, please turn within. Not beseeching some God that is outside of us, but turn within. Turn to the inner wisdom. Turn to that which is within you. We invite people to turn within and to find their guidance there, to access spiritual wisdom from within. But most of us don't trust our own wisdom. Some people call that intuition. Brene Brown calls it intuition. Most of us don't trust it. We go within, we get an answer, and then we poll everybody around us to make sure it was right. But you heard it. You knew it. Have you ever heard your own, as Ralph Waldo Emerson says, your own alienated words being returned to you from someone else? That's what happens. We want somebody else to decide for us most of the time. But most of all, we want to find somebody else to blame if it doesn't go right. We don't want to blame ourselves. You know what I'm saying here? So in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, Daring Greatly, Brene Brown says, it's our need for certainty that silences our intuitive voice. Our need for certainty. Our need to be right. Because most of us aren't very good at knowing. We use that word a lot here. We say knowing, but we're not very good at it. The mere mention of words like uncertainty or the unknown make us feel apprehensive. We get a little antsy. I don't know. This week I met with a woman who shared with me, a dear friend of mine, who shared with me some very difficult words, the most difficult words that you can hear from a doctor when you're on your life's journey. And as we sat and explored those words, and as she spoke to me about exactly what the doctor said, it was an interesting statement that she made to me. She said, you know, Reverend Jackie, it was as if the doctor didn't want to be wrong. It was as if that doctor had a need to know everything. To know everything. And this individual said, and when I responded to the doctor, well, you may know your statistics and you may know this, but you don't know me. She said that the doctor, and I'm not bashing doctors because, hey, I love my doctor. Hey, Becky Kroll, I love you. I'm telling you, I do. I love my doctors. I do. I love them for who they are and for what they are. They're diagnosticians, and they can only diagnose what we tell them. They can only know what they know. Now, I've got a nurse sitting in the front row kind of looking at me like, no, be careful here. Be careful here. But you do know what I'm trying to say here. And what Brene Brown would say is that our need to not be uncertain or to appear to be the expert in something can silence our intuitive voice. Whether you're a doctor, a teacher, a mama, whatever it is that you do in your life, our need to appear to know everything often stops us from truly knowing. Have you ever had this experience? But I just knew that was right, I have said to myself 1,000 times. And here's what I find myself saying over and over. But that's not what Google said. The mere mention of the words uncertainty makes us cringe a little bit because there's fear in those words. Assuming, because we make an assumption, many of us, not all of you, but many of us make an assumption that if we don't know how something is going to turn out, then most likely it's going to turn out badly. Okay, do a little check-in with yourself. If you don't know how something's going to turn out, do you go to, oh, but I know it's going to be wonderful, or do you go to, oh, that's not going to work out so good? I can only speak for myself when I tell you, Linus had nothing on that little cloud over his head. Most of us, if we don't know the likely outcome, we jump to it's going to be bad. We like guaranteed outcomes. We love that promise, this will work or your money back. We love that. Because just the mere word, those words tell us that everything's going to be okay. Because it's got to be okay. It's got to work. I'm going to lose that 572 pounds because they'll give me my money back if I don't, please. We like those kind of guarantees. And rather than turning within for guidance and following our own intuition, we look for assurances from other sources. We ask family and friends, what do you think? What should I do? Is it a good idea? Do you think it's a good idea? And when people ask me that question, my response is, well, I don't know. What is your inner self telling you? What is your gut telling you? We shake our heads and say, I'm not sure. I don't know. We don't know how to read it. The answer really is I have no answer what my inner gut, my intuition is saying because we haven't spoken in years. For the most part, we don't listen to our inner self. We poll other people because we don't trust our own knowing. So when we have difficult decisions to make, for the most part, we shut ourselves off from our intuition. We cut ourselves off, and we start to survey everybody around, starting with Google and Doc or whoever it is we go to. That means we're operating from a place of fear. That's causing our souls to contract. When our souls contract, our minds shut down, and we begin to see smaller and smaller and smaller points of views. And it becomes harder and harder to see the big picture. When all along your intuition had the big picture. All along. But no. Throughout his prolific career, Albert Einstein had a deep respect for the intuitive mind. I'm going to read this because I Googled it. In fact, he once described it as a sacred gift, and he likened our rationality to a faithful servant. He went on to say that we have created a society that honors the servant, rationality, and has forgotten the gift, intuition. As a person who mastered the mechanics of scientific theorizing and in the art of creative thinking, which led to some of the most prominent discoveries of our era, of our times, I got to think that Albert Einstein might be a credible source. He just might be. But today, we still echo Einstein's postulation. Our education system and society provides scarce training and support for the youth to tap into their inner wisdom. When a child asks a question, how does the teacher answer? I'm not criticizing you teachers, but for the most part, what do we say? Look it up. Don't we? We go to school and the teacher says, look it up. I have never in all of my life had a teacher say, ask your intuition for that answer. Go within. There is more emphasis on the development of the mind's critical faculties, which consequently conditions people to habitually rely on their logical mind when making decisions or interpretations. This research goes on to say, even if we were aware of our intuitive abilities, it is a challenge for most of us to channel it because we live in a world where we are inundated with information everywhere we go. We've become busier than ever while trying to balance our life, and we allow fears and compulsive thinking and patterns to block us and to block our intuition. We disconnect, and before we know it, our intuition becomes a mysterious stranger that we can't trust. But the truth is that we are doing ourselves a disservice by not moving within. Scientists have revealed in several studies, this is fascinating, that 95% of brain activity that goes beyond our conscious awareness influences most of our actions. I'm going to read that again. 95% of brain activity that goes beyond our conscious rational awareness influence most of our actions, decisions, behavior, and emotions. This implies that 95 to 99% of our thinking is based on programming of our unconscious or subconscious mind. So it is critical that we begin to use our intuition to contact our unconscious mind, to have a conversation with our unconscious mind. It's critical. The most powerful thing that we can do is simply to make a decision. Simply make a decision. This is incredible, but research has shown that the one factor that helps people in making good decisions is simply deciding. Research shows that the number one factor that allows people to make good decisions is simply deciding. You know, when I was growing up, my daddy would say, what do you think, this or this? And I would say, I don't know. And he would say, okay, well, make a decision. He was always big on forcing us, make a decision. And I would say, I don't know, I got to think. You know, I got to look at everything. I got to look at the pros and the cons of every side. This is right, you know, I'm going on and on and on and on. And my daddy said, if you stand on that fence too long, you're going to slip and fall and split yourself wide open. The best way to make a good decision is to decide. You want to be better at making decisions? then just start making decisions. That's what the scientists tell you to do. The more you're willing to decide, the easier the process becomes. When you make a decision, you open your heart, your mind, your soul, and you decide. And when you decide and when you make a decision, the more your soul expands, and the more your soul expands, the more your mind expands. The more your mind expands, the more open you are, and the more open you are, the more authentic you are. This is what we're saying. The more decisions that you make, the faster you can make them. And I'm not saying don't be thoughtful. Of course I'm not saying that. But, as my contractor who's working on my yard said, you can only debate over the two trees for hours, You can stand here. They're both going to grow. They're both beautiful. Which one? I was like that bear rabbit. I'm telling you. Our souls are designed to listen to Spirit. Our souls were created to listen to the divine mind that is within us and to draw on the divine intuition that is your very birthright. We were designed, we were created, we were made for that. Not for all of this indecision. Every single time we contract, we cut off the flow of divine wisdom. We don't allow that wisdom that is within us, that guidance that is within us, to help us in the moment that we need it the most. We scare ourselves into believing that we might make a bad decision, a decision that will wound us forever. And when Charlie said, they're both beautiful trees, they're both going to grow, they're both going to work, the decision was not going to be a blight on my landscape for the rest of my life. Just make a decision. Would the God that we know, would the Spirit of life itself, would the divine that created you in its image and likeness help let you make a decision that's going to wound you forever and make a bad decision, a permanent bad decision? I say no. I say no to that. We might want to turn the air conditioner on. I see people fanning. Okay, that's fine. There's always a new opportunity to make a new decision. There's always an opportunity to say, oops, that's the wrong tree. Let's plant a different one and move this one to where it'll be happier, because that's what it's about. Just make a decision. You can make a decision anytime, and nobody in the universe is going to stop you from making a new decision. No one is going to stop you, because the moment that you make a new decision, it means that you recognize that your soul has grown beyond the old decision that you made. Your soul has grown beyond it. The moment you make a new decision, you're saying, I'm making a new choice based on the information and experience that I have now that I did not have when I first made it. It's that unbelievable. We don't have to live these lives of, well, I made this commitment so I can never change. That's called marriage. No, I'm kidding. I'm just saying. No, it is called marriage, but I'm just saying. You can make a new decision at any time. Listen to me again. And nobody in the universe can stop you. Wow. But we keep thinking that they can. We keep thinking that they can. So where in your life are you resisting deciding? Where in your life are you contracting? Are you becoming smaller because you don't want to make a decision? Somebody please make a decision about my wall color for me, please. But most of all, here's a question that I really want to ask. In those areas where you're resisting making a decision, is it because we don't trust the divine to have our back? Is it because we don't trust in the goodness of life to give us everything that we need? Is it because we don't trust that everything will be okay? That as we teach in this philosophy that everything is working together for our good in spite of what we believe and in spite of what it might look like. Because when we don't make a decision, that's what we're saying. Now, sometimes it's not the time to make a decision, and I'm not, only you know that, because your inner intuition will tell you this is not the time. I'm not saying just make a decision to make a decision. I'm asking you to make decisions based on your inner wisdom. Make a decision to know that God is good and that you can allow your inner wisdom to guide you to your authenticity every single moment of your life. Life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that. Living alone won't, for solitude will break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel it's the reason that you are here on earth. You are here to risk your heart. You are here to risk your identity. You are here to live authentically. You are here to be the best you can be every single moment of your life. Peace and blessings, my beloveds. Take a breath together. Invite Deborah Whitman to join us. In fact, I want to invite all the practitioners of the church. Just come on up here. Come on up here. These are our practitioners that are with us today. I just want you to see Joe. Joe is here from Colorado. Let's give Joe a hand. Come on over here. I just want all three of y'all to give me some prayers today. Let's just pray.
Okay, so if you're comfortable, please just close your eyes. And we're going to have us some prayer. As I recognize that divine presence, that one source of all life, that infinite intelligence that is everywhere present in all of its creation. And I know absolutely, without a doubt, unequivocally, that it is within me, that it is within each one of us in this sanctuary, beyond this wall, in all life. So it is from this place of knowing that I can speak this word. So right now, if you are experiencing any difficulties in your life, maybe it's a relationship, a job, something you didn't want to hear from the doctor. Maybe it's your car. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever it is that is disturbing your life, perhaps it's something you need to go within and ask, what do I need to do to make this better for me or for whomever? So I just suggest that you open your heart, you open your mind, and you allow yourself to ask those questions, and you allow yourself to be happy with yourself, knowing that you are truly all you have, you and God within. So from this place of knowing, I simply say, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this divine day. Thank you for all of these divine souls. Thank you for coming forth and revealing the answers to each one of us. As I say, I just let it go. And let us all say, I let it go. And I just let it be. And I let God do God's work in my life. And so it is. Amen.
You girls want to pray? Either one of you? Well, Deborah did it for us, so okay. Sorry. Yay. Oh, all righty. Let's just take a breath together. Turn to someone right now and just let them know how glad you are that they are in church with us today. And for those of you who are at home, we are delighted that you have joined us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So in the spirit of prayer, I'd wanted all the girls to pray, but hey, they were just not wanting to pray this morning. They can pray for you afterwards. They were holding us, weren't they? Rex Miller has a little bit of an announcement. What's going on with you, Rex Miller, and your foot? Let's just hear about it.
Well, I ruptured my...
Here, speak into that. Oh, okay.
I ruptured my Achilles tendon, and wait to see what I'm going to do about it. Probably have to have
Yeah. So he ruptured, for those of you who couldn't hear, he has ruptured his Achilles tendon running across a parking lot. Yep. Not even like doing something adventuresome as he normally does. I'm sorry, I know where most of your minds went, and forget that. So we are just continuing to hold Rex as he goes through this journey. We will be without you for a couple of weeks once you have your surgery, but we just know, don't we, we're going to be holding him and lifting him. You know, we like to get this prayer work started before the surgery so that when he goes in, he's just being carried on the prayer, you know, and it's all done as we're still holding our beloved Ted also, who needs to have surgery as well. We prayed with Ted last week, and we're continuing to pray with him. And so many other individuals who have requested prayer for our beloved Ed Kluglinski's not father-in-law, but almost like your dad, a good friend of yours, who Tima's dad, who is making his transition right now. We pray. What is his name again? Monty. We are holding Monty in our prayers as he is home now on hospice, making his final journeys. We bless Ed, Tima, and everyone as they help him through this journey. Because we know that all is well, and our prayers are for peace and gentle and loving surrender for everything that's going on in our world. It's been quite a week, hasn't it been? It's been quite a week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want to make a couple of quick announcements as we are preparing our gift, our offerings. First of all, this is our quarterly brunch, and everyone is invited to come to brunch today down at the Sunrise Cafe, which is east on Fairview. It's near Bob's Bicycle Shop, if y'all know where that is. You'll go east on Fairview, and you'll look to the right when you get past Cole, and you'll see it. We have a space reserved. Our hostess is our board member, Mary Borg. Once a quarter, we're going to be doing these brunches to give people an opportunity to come together and to meet people. So if you are new today, you're invited because y'all are the best. We get to talk to you. And if you are a regular here, please, and don't know people, come and join and get to know some people at our brunch at Sunrise Cafe. They have a lovely menu down there. So after church, please grab a little bit of coffee. Mary is going to go on down there and get and make sure that everything is secured for us. And then we will make our way to the Sunrise Cafe for our quarterly brunch. This summer, we're going to be doing a quarterly brunch. We're going to be doing a quarterly potluck. We're going to be doing all kind of fun things. Please keep yourself informed about what is going on in the church through our e-blast. It is the best way. It is the absolute best way to know what's happening. Oh, dear, I have lost my sheet with everybody's names on it. Uh-oh. Well, okay, am I perfect? I'm being perfect. I want y'all to know that. I'm being perfect. Y'all thought I remembered all of this off the top of my head, right? So this morning, I just want to say thank you to all of our volunteers. Of course, our magnificent band, yes, and Bob Josephson with us today, sitting in for Phil Bowden. Yeah, amazing. Best music in Boise, Idaho with Sandra Cavanaugh this morning. We're very excited. Our sound guy is Rob Compton. Our camera is Cheryl Houdon. Our usher greeters were Janine Seuss in the house and Harold Whitman. Hospitality was brought to us today by J.J. Bullock, and cleanup after the brunch will be Marjorie Strom. Cookies brought to us by everybody who has been bringing cookies, and we always need more cookies, so please do bring them. Your church was cleaned this week by Mindy Woods. Children Youth Church teacher this morning is Mindy. Our E-Blast volunteer this week was Sean Cripper. That's not his last name. Shane K. Sorry. See, it's spelled wrong. I'm just saying. Never mind. And I want to tell you, last week, wasn't that a cute picture of me holding your clean gloves? Yeah, it was cute. That was cute. As some of you who were here last week know, we put out the call that we needed individuals to help us pull the weeds because they're getting to be a little bit of a problem, especially back in the back. And we said we'd call you and just sign up on the sheet in the back, and we say thank you for everyone who is doing that, and you will be receiving a call. But, of course, I have to tell you that right after church, Stephanie and Dawn and Melinda and who else? Is Stephanie here? I don't know who else. Who else after church? Norma, did you pull weeds? Norma pulled, and John, did he pull weeds? Norma and John, some of y'all didn't wait. Y'all went out right after church, and you pulled weeds, and I want to just say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, very exciting things. Deborah, do you want to get up here and talk about the interfaith thing that's happening, please? I don't have it in front of me.
Do I want to?
Would you please?
Yes, of course. Interfaith is scheduled for next Thursday on June 15th at 7 p.m. at the synagogue at the Jewish synagogue.
Later.
Yes, on Latah. This one is called Stories from Our Faith. So we have 5 to 7 speakers who will have 5 to 7 minutes to share something about their faith. Everyone is invited. There will be light refreshments afterwards. It lasts approximately an hour. So I hope to see everyone there.
Right. And Deborah is speaking on behalf of Religious Science, telling our stories.
Telling the story of Ernest Holmes.
Yeah.
So I will be there to share that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and it is a very wonderful organization. It's called the Interfaith Group, Interfaith Alliance and Interfaith Group. I don't know. We got 100 different names. I don't know. And these are groups of people who from many different faiths in our town. And it is fascinating. So next Thursday night, if you're interested, the Interfaith, and we will have it in our e-blast. So make sure if you're not on our e-blast, please fill out this welcome card. Give us your e-blast information, and Cheryl Houdon, who is our office person, will get you on the e-blast. Or you can go to cslboise.org and you can sign up yourself, cslboise.org. For those of you who are in the sanctuary, you can receive prayer immediately after church in the prayer room on the west, at the end of the west hallway. For those of you who are at home and joining us on YouTube or Facebook, you can send your confidential prayer requests to prayers@cslboise.org, prayers@cslboise.org. Or you can go to cslboise.org, that's our website, cslboise.org. And there's a lot of information there, including the names and phone numbers of our practitioners that you can call for prayer at any time. Those of you in the sanctuary can fill out a blue prayer request as well. Please let us pray with you. Join us and let us pray with you. And I think those are the only announcements I need to make. Is that correct? Can anybody think of anything? Anyway. Oh, and you know what? I just want to announce a moment. We pray every week for people who are requesting prayer for things, challenges most of the time, that are going on in their lives. But today, I just want to also say that we are celebrating with Jean and Robert Crum 50 years of marriage. 50 years of marriage. And I just have to tell you, family, because, we're all a family here. Yesterday, there was a little celebration with them, and Jean Crum had the dress that she wore on their first date. And I'm not kidding. Now, I don't know how many of you have your dress that you wore. Do you have your dress you wore on your first date with Rex? Oh, okay. Well, all I'm saying is when she held it up, It was the most perfect little go-go 60s dress. I mean, it really, and we just laughed and had such a good time celebrating 50 years of love. Thank you for modeling that for us, Robert and Jean, and thank you for letting us celebrate with you. And so this is our conscious giving time, the time when we give back to Spirit that which Spirit has so generously and magnificently given to us. As you know, and I say it quite often, church is a business. It requires, unfortunately, human thing called money to run, especially in the summer when so many of us are traveling and on vacation. I want to say, I am saying, thank you. Thank you for all of your contributions, for your donations of money, of time, of your talents, of your creativity, of your consciousness, and of your prayers. Because it takes all of that to run a church, in addition to the generosity of all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And so let us just turn within as we bless this, which we call money, but we know represents the eternal overflow of Spirit in and through its beloveds. And so we say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you to the givers who give so that this life-affirming philosophy may be continued in Boise and the Treasure Valley. We say thank you, God. As together we say, divine mind, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Amen, amen, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandra, Cavanaugh, and the CSL House Band.
Did you ever meet someone who didn't know when they were beat without the decency to lay down and give in? One you wouldn't see a whining 'cause they find that silver lining. In the tragedy they find the hopeful spin. The impractical, the woo-woo types think everything's all good. The faithful, helpful dopes who make a dirty word a should think that everything's a lesson, it all works out in the end. Find 'em singing in the shower while the wilds come crashing in. Yeah, 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 they're happy for no reason. They find it pleasing to be living in the now. They are so happy for no reason. They just don't care about the stories anyhow. To them life is a game that we are living, an illusion where our lessons come to light. Each grain of sand upon this world they can turn into a pearl, just loving every moment, wrong or right. Well, I guess I'll have to fess up, I'm one of those silly goofs. I'm a total geek for living in the now. I believe in manifesting, and there really is no question that the universe will take care of the how. I use vision boards affirming goods, have faith in all that's good. I see light in every darkness, and I don't believe it should. I think that everything's a lesson that'll work out in the end. Everyone that brings me challenge, I just call a sacred friend. Yeah, 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 and I'm happy for no reason. There ain't no pleasing some people anyhow. I am so happy for no reason. I am just choosing to be cruising through the now. The fun is in the game that we are living, all the beauty and the loving that we share. Every challenge that we see is just an opportunity, a door of hope. Go on and leap through if you dare. You may not want to stand too close if you're attached to being down, 'cause this attitude's a really catching thing. So many times I've been thought crazy or perceived as being lazy, 'cause I won't stress out at every little thing. But if you want to take a chance and see what's on the other side, a life of living without stories, it's a really festive ride. You can be a Pollyanna and start rolling with the flow. Trust that living in the miracle's a lovely way to go. Yeah, 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 get happy for no reason. It is so pleasing to be cruising through the now. Come on, get happy for no reason. We just don't care about those stories anyhow.
Sandra Cavanaugh and the CSL House Band, thank you so much. Would you please stand? May we all be blessed this week to recognize and share our authentic self. Peace and blessings.